Number 1. For this problem, you want to solve it visually, and if you're solving it by calculations, you want to use the same process. X minus 1 divided by 3 equals K. K equals 3, so what minus 1 divided by 3 equals K? It's going to be either C or D. 9 minus 1 is 8, so it has to be D. 10 minus 1 divided by 3 is 3. D is your answer. Number 2. This is another visual example that needs to be solved fast. Look at these first two numbers. 7 minus 8 is going to give me a -1, so it's going to cancel out C and D. So the answer is going to be A or B. Quickly note that the imaginary portions 3i and 9i are both positive, so it has to be A. Number 3, you want to move methodically and read this methodically and find that Armin sent M text messages each hour for 5 hours and Tyrone sent P for 4 hours. We want the total, so we can exclude A and B because it's never going to be multiplied, it's going to be added. Then you can quickly note that Armin sent M in 5 hours, so 5M, it has to be C. It can never be D, 4M. Number 4 is going to be one of those problems that might intimidate you because there's so much reading, but you have to stay calm and go through this methodically. Read all the way down to where you see the number of phones that she has left to fix at the end of each day can be estimated with the equation P equals 108 minus 23D, where P is the number of phones left and D is the number of days she has worked that week, and then compare it to your answers. A can be excluded. It's completely illogical. 108 days would be over 2,300 phones. 108 times 23. B is possible, but let's look at C and D and see if we can exclude those first. I think we can easily exclude C. There's no way she repairs 108 phones per hour. We can exclude D. Kathy repairs phones at a rate of 108 per day. So that means if D was 1, then 108 minus 23 would be 108. So your answer would have to be B. Kathy starts to reach each week with 108 phones to fix. We let D equal 0. We see P equals 108. That means on no day she has 108. This is going to be one of your harder questions in this entire section, so you would have to stay focused and be logical. Number 5, this is going to be another problem that you want to solve visually and quickly. I scan it to see that the -3y square and the other -3y square is going to cancel because the sign changes due to this middle sign. So that excludes B and D because there are no y squares left. That leaves us with A and C. We can see there are no x squared y's, and since we're adding, there's never going to be an x squared y, so the answer must be C. And if you wanted to make a quick calculation, you would see that anyway. It's just an addition there. Number 6, this will be another one of the tougher problems in this section. That's why you have to move fast on the other ones. Reading and comprehension is going to be key here. The pediatrician uses the model above to estimate the height H of a boy in inches in terms of the boy's age A in years between the ages of 2 and 5. Based on the model, what is the estimated increase in inches of a boy's height each year? I have height H, age A in years. This one you may be able to calculate visually, or you may have to write it out in the following way. At 0 years, you have 28.6 at 1 year, 31.6 at 2 years, 34.6. So you see it's going up by 3 each year. So what is the estimated increase in inches of a boy's height each year? It'll be A, 3. Number 7, looking at a problem like this and you start reading through the formula above gives the monthly payments M and blah, blah, blah. You can see that you're never going to calculate this. The tip off on a problem like this is the bottom part, which of the following gives P in terms of M, R, and N. I have P here, M here. I have my P and my M sitting on the outside there. That P is really on top, so I can see I can use the reciprocal. I'm looking for something with this whole guy on top and this whole guy on the bottom. Quickly, you can see it's B. Number 8, if A over B equals 2, what is the value of 4B over A? Note the relationship between A over B and B over A. They're just the reciprocals of each other. And so if you can, you want to do this one visually. If A over B equals 2, then B over A equals 1/2. And 1/2 times 4 is 2C. And if you wanted to work this one, you just do it like this really quickly. A over B equals 2, which implies that B over A equals 1/2. Substitute the 1/2, and you still get 2. Number 9, a system of equations. I say be careful with this one. This one could be a trap problem. It may be faster just to go ahead and solve it by elimination, and that's what I did. Here's the solution for that. I saw that I could easily eliminate the y's by multiplying the second equation by -2, and that's what I did. Added them together, I got 5x equals 15. So x must be equal to 3. B is the only one with a 3 in the answer, and by doing a quick check, it didn't take long to see that -8 worked for both equations. Answer is B. Number 10, you see g of 4 equals 8. We want g of -4. In the equation for g of x, we can see x is squared, which means g of 4 and g of -4 is going to give us the same value. So the answer is A, 8. So here's the problem. An SAT question, you want to get right to the point. So we have, what was the price per pound of beef when it was equal to the price per pound of chicken? Pause the video if you don't want to see the solution yet. So what we're going to do here is obviously set these equal. We want to know when B is equal to C, when beef is equal to chicken. So here's the solution. The key here is when you see these decimals, you're going to have to convert everything to whole numbers. And that's going to be multiplying everything times 100. We do that and set them equal to each other, and this is what we get. Rather than adding and subtracting everything from both sides, I take the numbers that I want to take across and I just change the sign. Combine 40 and 25 to get 15. This is what I get on the left side. That equals 60. That means 15 times 4. X must be 4. We back substitute it into the equation. The answer is D. So here's the problem. Pause the video if you don't want to see the solution yet. We have a line passing through the origin, which is 0, 0. We're going to use the equation y equals mx plus b, but since it goes through the origin, the y-intercept b is 0. And so with our equation of y equals 1/7 x, we have to look through these answers and see which ones work. It may take a second, but you'll realize that the only one that works is D by plugging in the values. So in this video, I'm going to solve all 38 problems for the official collegeboard.org practice test number 1, section 4, calculator section. So let's look at number 1. So even though this is a word problem, it should be one that you should be able to solve pretty quick. Let's read through it. John runs at different speeds as part of his training program. The graph shows his target heart rate during different times during his workout. On which interval is his heart rate strictly increasing, then strictly decreasing? So that's the giveaway. It's saying strictly increasing and strictly decreasing. So I would look over this and take a look at it, take a look at the answers and see what's going on, get an idea what's going on. I can see between 0 and 30, it's not strictly increasing and decreasing because it's flat here. So B is going to be the answer because it goes up and then it comes down. And when you look at this, you're not going to see something that goes straight up and comes straight down because it has to go over this way because time is increasing that way. So strictly increasing is increasing on an angle and decreasing is decreasing the same way. This is flat here. And this one goes down first for C. So C and D won't work. So for number 2, I would write this one down because although it's really simple, you don't want to really make a mistake on this and try to do the quick calculations in your head. So I would write it down. If y equals kx, where k is a constant and y equals 24, when x equals 6, what is the value of y when x equals 5? So here's what I have. I wrote all this, but what I would probably do on the test is just go 24 equals k times 6 and see k equals 4. Then look back at the question. What's the value of y when x equals 5? Y equals 5 times 4, 20. C is the answer with a high level of certainty. So for number 3, we want to know if the measure of angle 1 is 35 degrees. What's the measure of angle 2? Well, angle 1 is congruent to this angle here, which is supplementary to this one. These are supplementary. They add up to 180 degrees. So when we find this one is equal to angle 2 because they're on the same sides of the parallel line. These are equal because they're on the same sides of the parallel line. So this is 35. These are supplementary. So this is 180 minus 35, which is 145, the same as 2. So number 4, I would write it out real quick. Even though it's kind of simple, I'll still write it out real quick. And so here's what I have. If 16 plus 4x is 10 more than 14, what is the value of 8x? Well, 16 plus 4x is 10 more than 14. So 16 plus 4x is 24. I would solve this real quick like this. Find that x equals 2. And then it asks, what is the value of 8x? 8 times 2, 16. C is your answer with a high level of certainty. So number 5, this is one we should answer really, really quick. Which of the following graphs best shows a strong negative association between D and T? D and T, you see this one? Don't get confused by that. That's all over the place. This one is not negative. Even though it's low, it's just flat. This is not negative, it's positive. We're looking for what can be considered like a best fit line going through it. And you can see if we did that, the best fit goes down as D goes to the right. So D is your answer. Number 6, you can either write it out or just do it in your head real quick. It's a little tricky because you're converting from here to here to here to here. It gets a little bit tricky, but not a lot tricky. Let's convert it. Best way I would do it, I would go from the 10 grams down to the milligrams because 1 decagram is 10 grams and 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. So 10 grams is 10,000 milligrams. The hospital stores 1 type of medicine in 2 decagram containers based on the information given in the box above. How many 1 milligram doses are there in 2 decagram containers? So how many 1 milligrams in 2 decagrams? Well, a decagram is 10 grams. 2 decagrams is 20 grams. 20 grams, 20,000 milligrams. So D is your answer. And you can really see that it's either going to be one of these two. We know it's not going to be any of those really. So for number 7, the number of rooftops with solar panel installations in 5 cities is shown in the graph above. If the total number of installations is 27,500, what is an appropriate label for the vertical axis of the graph? So we want to know what the appropriate label for the vertical axis of the graph, since the total number of installations is 27,000. So that tells us a lot because A is 9,000 by itself, and you got to figure these are in thousands. When you just look at it, you got 9, you got 5, 6, 4, and like 3.5. You got to figure you're going to add those up. That's going to be 27. So it has to be in thousands. So number 8 should be quick and easy. For what value of n is n, absolute value n minus 1 plus 1 equal to 0? Well, we know absolute value is always positive plus 1. It's going to be no value. It's never going to be negative. So for questions 9 and 10, we're going to use this information. From what I've seen, when they say 9 and 10 are going to use the same information, 2 problems are going to use the same information, you're going to use your solution from the first part on the second part. So whatever solution we gain from number 9, we're going to use it in number 10. Most of the time, I can't guarantee. The speed of a sound wave in air depends on the air temperature. The formula above shows the relationship between A, the speed of a sound wave in feet per second, and T, the air temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so A is the speed of the sound wave in feet per second, and T is the air temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. Just to get a deeper understanding of what's going on. Which of the following expresses the air temperature in terms of the speed of a sound wave? Now, this is one you could either do on paper or in your head. I decided to go ahead and do it on paper. It's really quick. I wrote out the equation, moved this value over to this side and divided by the 1.08. And with the high level of certainty, A is your answer. So for number 10, at which of the following air temperatures will the speed of a sound wave be closest to 1,000 feet per second? We calculated that value in number 9. So this is our equation that we're going to use to determine this. So in this equation, A represents the speed of a sound wave in feet per second. So A is the 1,000. And this is what I have. I just wrote it out really fast. T equals 1,000 minus this over that. Calculated it. When I'm scribbling on an answer like this, I'm not putting negative signs and all that. I know 48 is going to be my answer B with a high level of certainty. Number 11. Which of the following numbers is not a solution of the inequality? This one, I wrote it out and solved it real fast. That's what I would do on the test. And so here we have what we were given. I just took my 3x over. I know that just gave me x, brought the 3 over here. Negative 2 is greater than or equal to x. I was able to do that in like 3 to 5 seconds. I had to draw out my picture to see what I was dealing with. That took me a couple of seconds only just to draw this up. Boom, boom. I got negative 2 is greater than or equal to x, so x is over this side. So the only answer to the right of that is negative 1, A with high level of certainty. Just like for that earlier problem, you want to just get into it and see what's going on. Based on the histogram above, of the following, which is closest to the average arithmetic mean number of seeds per apple? I mean, you have no choice but to calculate the average. So if you work fast, you should probably be able to do this one within about a minute, I guess. So here we see we have the number of apples here, the number of seeds here. We want seeds per apple. So you have to calculate the number of seeds, the number of apples, and then get the average. So this first one is 2 times 3, 6. The second one is, you see, 4 times 5, 20, so on. Third one is 1 times 6, the fourth one. 2 times 7, 14. And the last one is 3 times 9, 27. 73 seeds. Now we count the number of apples. We have the first one is just 2. We're going up 2. The second one is 4 apples. The third one, 1 apple. The fourth one, 2 apples. And that last one is 3 apples. 73 over 12, we know that's close to 6 because 72 over 12 is 6. 6 and 1, 12. So the answer is C with a high level of certainty. So for 13, a group of 10th grade students responded to a survey. They asked which math course they were currently enrolled in. The survey data were broken down as shown in the table above. Which of the following categories accounts for approximately 19% of all the survey respondents. So what I did with this one, you can calculate it in your head. If you're really on it, you can calculate it in your head because you see the total was students was 310. Female algebra students were 62. That's 20%. If you go 2 times 31, that's 62. We can see that's 20% with quick math. If that's where you're at, you could run that through your calculator really quickly. 62 over 310 is going to give you 20%. And so you're going to know that it's probably, you search here, male geometry. I did the calculation 59 over 310, gave me 0.19 something, converted to percentage by moving it 2 decimal places to the right. Okay, for number 15, what does the C-intercept represent in the graph? Well, we're talking about the C-intercept here, so it won't be total number of boats, won't be total number of hours the boats is rented because there are no hours yet. And it wouldn't be D because there's no hours yet. So it's the initial cost because time is 0. So your answer is A for number 15. For number 16, which of the following represents the relationship between H and C? So if we look at it, when time equals 0, C equals 5. So I have here, C equals 5, time equals 0. So we know we have the 5 here. It's one of these two. And so we see here it goes from 5 to 8 as time goes from 0 to 1 hour. So that's the same as like your rise over run. 8 minus 5, since C was started at 5, and 1 minus 0, since time started at 0. So that's 3. So your answer is going to be 3H plus 5. That means it's going to go up by $3 every hour. So number 17, the complete graph of the function f is shown in the xy plane above. For what value of x is the value of f of x at its minimum? Well, we can see the minimum here is our lowest value here. And so what is that x value? Got negative 1, 2, 3. X equals negative 3. And for number 18, in the xy plane, if 0, 0 is a solution to the system of inequalities above, which of the following relationships between A and B must be true? So I worked it out. So this is what we were given. Y is less than negative x plus A. Y is greater than x plus B. What I did is plug in the values for that. 0, 0 for x and y. So 0 is less than 0 plus A means 0 is less than A. Same thing for B. Plugged in 0, 0, and 0 is greater than B, which means A is greater than B, because if A is greater than C and C is greater than B, that means A is greater than B. So the answer is A. Number 19. This is one of the toughest problems in this section that you'll run across, but it's not hard, but it's one of the toughest. We got a food truck sells salad for $6.50 each and drinks for $2 each. The food truck's revenue from selling a total of 209 salads and drinks in one day was $836.50. How many salads were sold that day? I worked it out. And so I let A stand for salads because I don't want to put S. S looks too close to a 5. And I used a small d for drink because the big D looks too close to a 0. So this is my system of equations that I set up. $6.50 for a salad, $2 for a drink. The total amount spent was $836.50. The total number of salads plus drinks came to 209. So that gave you your system of equations. You want to use your dollars with dollars and your amounts with amounts. So numbers with numbers and dollars with dollars will give you your system of equations. Think of it that way and set them up real quick like that. And then you have to eliminate one of the variables. You can see the easiest one to eliminate here is D. So I multiply the whole second equation by a -2 to eliminate D. And I get this here. I subtract it off. My D's go away. That's what I was trying to do anyway. 6.5A minus 2A gives me a 4.5A. 836.50 minus 418 gives me 418.50. Run it through the calculator. A equals 93. B is the answer. Means 93 salads were sold. So for number 20, Alma bought a laptop computer at a store that gave a 20% discount off its original price. The total amount she paid to the cashier was P dollars, including an 8% sales tax on the discounted price. Which of the following represents the original price of the computer in terms of P? So automatically, I started setting up the equation. And so I let X equal my original price. I didn't want to use O here. O looks too much close to zero. It's going to be it could be cause you to mess up. So P equals 0.8X. It's going to be 80% of the price plus, this is the tricky part, 0.8 times 0.08X, which means you're going to pay 8%, which is 0.08 tax on 80% of the original price, not on the original price. So you come up with this. Factor out a 0.8x, combine these two, divide both sides by everything to get x by itself. And so I get x, my original price, equals p divided by 0.8 times 1.08. D is the answer. This is obviously one of the tougher problems in the section. So if you can't get it, this is how you can guess at it. You can eliminate some of these by understanding that the original price is more than the sales price. So if we want the original price, it's not going to be 0.88 times P, because that's going to give me less than the sales price, which was P. It's not going to be C either, because this is going to be less than 1. So that's going to give me a less than P. So it's going to be between B and D. Naturally, you want to guess B, but I think if you really think about it, you're going to have to, your guess would be D, because you're looking at a 0.08 and then you're looking at a 0.8. When you multiply that 0.08, you're probably never going to get a 0.88. So if you want to guess, you want to guess D. That's how you can guess that if you're not sure. So 21, the data in the table above were produced by a sleep research study. Researchers studying the number of dreams people recall when asked to record their dreams for 1 week. Group X consisted of 100 people who observed early bedtimes, and Group Y consisted of 100 people who observed later bedtimes. If a person is chosen at random from those who recall at least one dream, what is the probability that the person belonging to Group Y, that the person belonged to Group Y? So Group Y had 100 people. You can see from the chart that 68 plus 11 of them had at least one dream, which is 79 dreams. Group X had 100 people. We had 28 plus 57, 85 people had dreams. So we want how many people had dreams that were in Group Y. We had a total of 164 people who had dreams. 79 of those were in Group Y. So we're in Group Y. So your answer is going to be 79 over 164. C. Listen, I go through tons of coffee making all these videos. If this video was helpful to you, you can show your appreciation by buying the next cup. The link is in the description.